It's late. Later than you meant to stay up. Everyone else in the house is asleep, and the screen is the only light in the room. And there it is. The thing. The message you have not sent, the idea you have not started, the application sitting half finished, the document that has been open for an hour with nothing in it. Your thumb is hovering. You are so close. And then, right at the edge of doing it, something stops you. Not a wall, nothing that dramatic. Just a quiet voice, calm, almost kind. And it asks you one simple question: who do you think you are? And you close the laptop. You tell yourself it's late. You tell yourself you will do it tomorrow when you are fresh, when the timing is better, and the light goes out. I know that moment. I'm not guessing at it either. I know it because I have lived it more times than I want to admit. And I am living a version of it right now with the biggest thing I have ever tried to build. This is Kaizen with Luca, and today I want to tell you a story about that voice, where it comes from, why it always shows up at the worst possible time, and the one thing I figured out that finally took its power away. Here is the first thing I started to notice about that voice. It's not random, it keeps a schedule. It never bothers me when I'm doing something small. I can sit through a meeting that goes nowhere. I can fold the laundry whenever I get around to doing that. I can answer 50 emails, and the voice has nothing to say. It doesn't care because none of that is real. None of it could ever embarrass me. None of it costs me anything if it goes wrong. But the moment I reach for something that matters, the moment I pick up something that I actually care about and let myself think, maybe this one is mine, that is when it wakes up. Every single time. Like it was sitting there the whole while, just waiting for me to get close. To understand this voice, you have to know where mine learned to talk. So let me take you back. Picture a kid in high school. Not the most confident kid. The kind who had been told he was smart by parents, maybe a teacher or two, but never quite believed it. Still has doubts today because being told something and knowing it are two completely different things. And this kid gets an idea. Now, this kid also had a partner that worked on this idea, but we're going to be talking about from this kid's perspective. This kid had a strange idea. He wants to build a bulletproof vest or upgrade it, but one that's not out of metal, one that is not fully Kevlar, but one that it utilizes a liquid, a material that can stay soft and liquid when nothing is happening, but the instant something strikes it, it seizes up. It stays fluid up until the moment it matters, and then it's unbreakable. He has no business pulling this off. He's a teenager, but he builds it anyway. Late nights, the getting it wrong, and wrong again, until one day it's right. And then he's standing on the floor of a state science fair, the real one, his project right there in front of him, and people walking up who know far more than he does, asking him the hard questions. And here's the thing: the vest holds, the idea holds, and he holds. That kid was me. And that day, something happened that I did not understand until decades later. Until I finally sat down and did this excavation myself. That was the day I learned to believe in myself. And notice how it happened. Nobody handed it to me, nobody talked me into it. I believed it because I did it. I made something real with my own hands, and it survived contact with people who could have torn it apart. That is the strongest kind of belief there is. The kind you earn by doing. But it comes with a catch, a hidden cost I would not feel for years. Because if your belief is built by doing, then it can only protect you after you have done the thing. It's useless in the one place you need it most, which is the beginning, the moment before there is any proof at all. The kid who finished the vest was unshakable, but the kid who started it, the one staring at an empty page with nothing but a strange idea and no evidence it would ever work, that kid was terrified because he thought he was not smart enough. And that kid, the one from before, he never left. He's still in here. And every time I start something new, he comes back to the front and he brings that voice with him. Which this brings me to now. To the thing that I am building right now. This. I made something. I made a program. I believe in it the way you only believe in something you have actually lived. I ran myself through the whole thing before I let myself teach a single word of it because I made myself a rule. Nobody teaches this before they live it. And it is held. People I respect looked at it and nodded. Every person I have walked through it has leaned in. And still, late at night, the voice. What if the people who don't already know you just do not believe in it? What if a stranger looks at the thing you poured yourself into and finds the one crack you cannot defend? I could raise my voice a little higher for a younger version of me, but here's the part I don't usually say out loud. I do not even have to imagine that stranger because I am already sitting across from the doubt. There's someone close to this, someone whose opinion lands on me whether I want it or not, and they question it. They ask if people really need this. They ask if anyone would actually pay for it. And in the spaces between the questions, I can feel something underneath. The quiet possibility that they think the whole thing is a little foolish. Now, I want to be careful here because this is not a story about them. They are not the villain. I am telling you this because of what it does to me. When the doubt is just a voice in your head, you can argue with it. But when it's sitting across from you, in a real person, in someone you care about, it gets heavier. It stops feeling like a fear and starts feeling like a fact. But I sat with that for a long time, and something shifted. I realized that this person's doubt is not the verdict. It's the rehearsal. It's the exact challenge that 1,000 strangers might bring one day, showing up early and someone I know while the stakes are still low enough for me to learn from it. If I can't stand in front of the doubt here in my own corner, I will never stand in front of it out there. The doubt sitting across from me is not the thing trying to stop me. It's the thing getting me ready. So, let me hand you the thing that changed everything for me. And I want you to actually try this with me and not just hear it. Think back to the last time you felt that voice. The real version, not the mild nerves. We want the deep one. The one that made you feel close, the one that made you close the laptop and tell yourself, I'm going to do this tomorrow. I will bet you anything it was not before something small. You didn't feel it before going to the grocery store. You felt it before something that mattered, before you almost said the thing to someone, before you almost said the true thing to someone, before you almost started the thing you actually wanted, before you almost let yourself be seen. That's the pattern. The voice does not show up to warn you away from danger. It shows up in exact proportion to how much something matters to you, which means the volume of doubt is not a measure of how likely you are to fail, it's a measure of how much you actually care. And once I saw that, I had to be honest about my own fear. It was never really about whether the idea was good, because I know the idea is good. I tested it. The fear was about something much older, whether people who do not already know me will believe me, whether I will be trusted by strangers. That is not the man who built the thing. That's the kid in school at a desk with an empty page before the vest, talking again. So I put the doubt on trial. I went back through my whole life and I looked at every time it had ever shown up. The vest, every room I walked into unsure I belonged, every time I stood up to share an idea I cared about and felt certain I was about to be exposed. And the verdict was almost funny. The doubt had never once been right about the outcome. Not a single time did doing the thing turn out to be a mistake. What the doubt was actually predicting perfectly every time was not failure. It was importance. It only ever showed up for the things that counted. The real mistakes, the ones I still feel, were the opposite. They were the nights I listened. The times I called the voice wisdom and quietly walked away from something I wanted. Those are the regrets, not the things that I tried. The things I let the voice talk me out of. So now I do something different. I don't push through the voice, and I don't try to silence it. I make it specific. I turn around and I ask it straight. What exactly are you afraid of? What would actually have to be true for this to fall apart? And every single time, the fog turns into one of two things. Either a real risk I can actually do something about, like I have not tested this with real people yet. True. And the moment I name it, it stops being a feeling and becomes a task. Something I can go and do this week. Or it turns out to be nothing at all. The same old story with no evidence underneath it. Just a kid at the desk, scared before there was any proof. Both of those set you free. But you only ever get there by dragging the voice out of the dark and making it say its name. Because that voice does all of its damage in the fog. The second you turn the light on, it shrinks. So here's what I want to leave you with, and what I want you to take back to exactly where we started. It's late again. The house is quiet. The screen is the only light. The thing is still there, unsent, unstarted, waiting. And the voice shows up, calm as ever, and asks its question. Who do you think you are? But this time, you know something you did not know before. You know the voice keeps a schedule. You know it only ever shows up for the things that matter. You know that its size is not a measure of how wrong you are. It is a measure of how much you want this. So, this time, instead of closing the laptop, you turn and you ask it, what exactly are you afraid of? And you make it answer. Maybe it hands you a real risk. Good. Now you have something to work on. Maybe it hands you an old story. Good. Now you can finally set it down. Either way, your thumb stops hovering and you do the thing. There is something you have been calling not the right time. Be honest with yourself about whether it is really the timing or whether it is just the doubt wearing the timing like a costume. Name it this week. Write down the specific fear underneath it and ask it the only question that matters. Is this evidence or is this an old story? Because you cannot move toward anything real while you are sitting in the dark, listening to a voice that only ever speaks up when you are getting close. Direction changes everything. And one more thing before you go. If this episode hits something in you, if you recognized that voice, then you are exactly the person I built Kaizen for. It is a 4-week sprint about doing this work for real, the same kind of digging this whole show is built on. I am putting together a small early group right now. The link to get on the list is in the description. It takes about 10 to 30 seconds to fill out, and it might be the first specific thing you do instead of waiting for the doubt to get quiet on its own. The first group is small on purpose. If it's calling you, go put your name down. I'll see you next time.